Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I am 𝐿𝐿𝐍, and this is the Crypto and Cognac podcast show. So, depending on where in the world you are joining me from, welcome, right? As always, live every Thursday, 7 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, sharp, right here on YouTube. And as always, I got my glass, I got my rocks, and I got my yak. And there ain't no yak party like a Henny rack party. Today, some Hennessy VS. Just a little small something to wet the whistle, right? Because, guys, it has been a rough week. It has been a rough. If you think you had a rough week, but give thanks. Give thanks that I could be here with you guys this evening. And as always, before we jump into it, some housekeeping. Me, I am 𝐿𝐿𝐍. I am not a financial advisor. I'm a man who drinks cognac. I drinks the alcohol. I talk crypto, right? This is not a financial advisory show. This is where a guy who likes crypto and who likes cognac sets up shop every Thursday to talk to his boy Steven about crypto, what the market doing, what the market didn't do, and you guys get to hang around, pay attention, tap in with us, right? So do your own research, and as always, drink and degen responsibly. The ice rule, same way we have our cognac, is the same way we do our crypto conversations. It is all about information, conversation, and education, not financial advice, right? Guys, before we jump into the serious crypto business, like I told you all, this week has been a crazy week. On the professional front, crazy. On the personal front, crazy. This week I lost somebody very, very close to me. Somebody that I spend majority of my days with, somebody that I work with closely, very suddenly. And it really threw me through a loop. You realize that life is even more unpredictable than the crypto markets. So with that said, if you have somebody close to you, let them know that you love them, let them know that they care about them. Take a little bit of these crypto profits every now and then and enjoy a little bit of life, because none of us know when our number is going to be called. Yeah. So without further ado, without heavying up the place too much, I mean, it's a heavy conversation. The last week has seen global equity markets tumble. We're not just talking crypto, we're talking about stocks, we're talking about Forex, we are talking about tons of different markets were impacted by, I guess, a lot of negative sentiment. And we're going to touch a little bit on what caused it, what caused the overall thing, what caused it specifically, or what elements caused it specifically. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how it has impacted the crypto space. Now, already, if you look right now, the market has bounced back significantly from hitting, I think we hit 49,000, right? We are already back up to 62,000 and raging. Give thanks for that. I hope some of you got an opportunity to buy in, lower your average cost for crypto, for Bitcoin. I hope None of you guys sold because you don't lose a cent until you sell. So if you had it at 49, you still have it at 62. I saw a lot of discussions about how much value was lost from the US stock market, trillions of dollars. And the reality is that it wasn't actually lost. It just changed hands, because we saw evidence that retail investors sold significantly while institutional investors were buying significantly. And right now, as of today, the US stock market has had its best day since, I think, 2022, coming off of, the chaos of the last week. What does that tell you? These guys are trying to shake you out of your wealth. So when we panicking and selling, they buying more. When we getting greedy and buying more, they selling. And rinse and repeat. So guys, be careful. When things get it's most scary, sometimes that's when you had to tie your hands behind your back. That's when you do nothing. When everybody else is feeling scared, be brave. When everybody else is getting greedy, get the out. Yeah, that's something I try to stick to. It's hard, I know it, but we have to learn to be disciplined. Otherwise, we're going to continue to lose in this game of financial chess, right? Anyway, so the last week we saw global equity markets collapse, right? And obviously it had significant impacts on the cryptocurrency market. But I think the main causes that impacted these markets were significant concerns about the weakening US economy, inflationary fears, and then the unwinding of the carry trades situation in Japan, right? And all of those things created, I guess, a perfect storm that impacted markets significantly. Now, in terms of the US economy, there have been ongoing fears. Now, this didn't just pop up. No, we know that the US economy has been experiencing spiraling inflation, right? And we have seen the Federal Reserve try to stymie that inflation with consecutive rate hikes, trying to deter people from spending. But the reality is that, to hear most experts talk about it, it seems like inflation is here to stay, right? There seems to be nothing that can be done to stymie inflation, because we have bred a culture of spending into the US economy, which obviously the US economy is one of the most influential economies in the world, right? So we in the Caribbean here know particularly that if the US cough, we definitely getting sick, right? But that's not just us, that's everywhere in the world. And despite the efforts by the Federal Reserve to stymie inflation continues to get out of hand. We've seen some very, very poor results in terms of the job report. The economy just isn't doing what it is supposed to do, especially in an election year, right? In an election year, you tend to see the most progress in the economy, because the incumbent government is trying to, or the incumbent president and their party is trying to win re-election. But unfortunately, that is not happening at this particular time. I'm sure very much to the frustration of the Biden administration, the Kamala Harris political apparatus, who is hoping to win re-election for the Democratic Party. But I'm sure that Donald J is enjoying it. He's loving watching things collapse. And then we have the carry trade, right? Now, I was gonna attempt to explain what a carry trade is, but then I was scrolling TikTok and I came across a video, and this guy does a way better job than me in explaining what a carry trade is and how it has impacted the global equity markets, right? So I'm gonna share his little video with you guys, right? Let's go.
Bitcoin crash overnight. Here's your simple 2-minute explanation. Now it's all down to this thing called the carry trade. The carry trade is the definition of get rich quick scheme, right? Because what you're trying to do is borrow money, taking out loans at very low interest rates. Where's got the lowest interest rates in the world? In Japan, right? So we take out a huge bank loan in Japan for 0.3%. And we know we can make a lot higher return like that elsewhere in the world. For example, UK interest rates are over 5%, US interest rates are over 5%. So we need to change this Japanese yen into a currency that's going to earn us a higher interest rate. So we do a foreign exchange, right? Now it takes 155 yen to buy $1. So we've moved our yen into dollars and pounds and everything with higher interest rates, right? So now you've got all this money and you go and invest it. You invest it in Bitcoin, you invest it in Apple, you invest it in NVIDIA, AMD. So that's great. Now you've got all these investments that are earning high returns and you've got a debt that you pay very low interest on. What could possibly go wrong? Well, what went wrong is last week the Japanese central bank did a surprise interest rate hike, which makes the yen a lot more attractive. When it's attractive, then the exchange rate changes. In fact, it went from 155 to 143. So remember, when you change your money from yen into dollars and pounds, that was at this exchange rate. Now it's moved. So when you come to pay money back, you're not receiving nearly as many yen as you did when you put the currency trade on. This is a problem. In fact, it's a big problem because the value of your money in yen terms has dropped from $1 to 92 cents, or an 8% loss. In fact, to pay back your loan, you need $1.08. Which might not sound very much, but when people are borrowing hundreds of millions of dollars, then suddenly that gets ugly. And what happens when it gets ugly? Well, they have to sell all these assets. In fact, they don't have a choice because their risk managers are telling them they've got to get rid of these assets and raise the funds to start paying back the loans because the losses are too big. So you raise that money and you pay back. So what happened overnight is people tried to change their money back and they're demanding more yen, which makes the currency appreciate even further, and it makes the problem even bigger. So this is the first time many of you will have seen a market crash. So just be very careful. Don't take any big risks. Nobody gets paid for being a hero on a day like this. But at the same time, do not panic and look for opportunities. This is what we know as a...
So, key thing there that he left us with, and I want to reiterate it. So do not panic and look for opportunities. But unfortunately, the human psyche does not work like that. And unfortunately, market sentiment, the market psychology, after seeing those dips, it created panic, right? And what we saw is that exasperated the market sentiment, that it was going to zero. I mean, I saw in some of my groups, I saw people talking about $22,000 Bitcoin price. This thing is gonna crash to high heaven. And yeah, people kept selling, and same thing in the stock market. And before you know it, we were experiencing some of our worst declines in recent history. Now, us in the crypto space, if you've been here for a little while, we are used to 30% drawdowns. We are used to 40% drawdowns. I mean, we went from 69,000 to 16,000 during the bear market. So we built for this. But some of the other markets, not so much. Some of the new investors into crypto, not so much. We saw a significant sell-off of ETFs. So, you know, a lot of people wonder about these ETFs. You know, is not really diamond hands coming in and holding these ETFs. It's, you know, paper hands, sometimes even worse than paper hand, leaf hand, I guess. So one thing led to another thing, which led to panic selling, and we saw the institutional buyers. We also saw the crypto whales gobbling it up, and that's what happens during a bull run. We have these moments of panic that facilitate the bigger players taking advantage, and well, maybe not taking advantage, but finding the opportunities while other people panic, just because they are a little bit more experienced, they're a little bit more sophisticated, they have a little bit more capital to play with to influence the market in any which direction. And you know, they say markets are built to transfer funds, transfer wealth from the impatient many to the patient few. So guys, that's what happened. Like I said, 1 week later, less than 1 week later, we are already back up to 62,000. Is it going to stay there? Are we going to keep going all the way to 79,000? Possible, unlikely. I think we're going to continue to have corrections. We always say it doesn't go like this. It goes like this, right? So always be aware. And this is why I continually tell people, stop trying to time the market. Time in the market always beats time in the market. Have extended time horizons, have long-term goals as it relates to your crypto investment. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. And always do your own research. Stop listening to the crowd. Stop listening to the masses. You know what I mean? Concentrate on what works for you. And have a plan. Even if it's in relation to exiting, have a plan so that when these events happen, you don't get spooked. You don't get spooked out here dollars. How many people would have bought when we hit 70,000 because they were excited that it was going to 100,000, it was going to $1 million, and then panicked when it hit 55, 54, 53, 52, and sold again at 49. How are they feeling today, knowing that it's back up to 62? Are they gonna rinse and repeat, buy in again when it hits 70 again and get washed out again? Guys, have a plan. Things are gonna happen. We are going to continually have incidents that create panic. The election is still on the cards. We don't know what is going to happen there. There's a lot of instability in the Middle East. There is a lot of instability in Europe. We are teetering on the edge of global chaos. But trust and believe there are people readying themselves to buy up all the ashes and make it into generational wealth. Are you gonna be one of those people? Steady. Steady. Right? That's all I have to say this evening, guys. Let's hope that the next week is a much better week than the week gone. If you're here, if you've been here, I love you. If I've ever said I love you, I still love you. Illuminati out. Adoption, guys, is inevitable. I have no doubt in my heart of hearts that we're going to see Bitcoin reach figures that, you know what, we could only dream. You know, we're going to look back on these 62 and 65s and we're going to be like, bro, what a time to be alive and what a time to buy. So be wise, do your own research, not financial advice, of course. Enjoy Hennessy responsibly. Illuminati out. Be blessed, guys. Stephen!